And, whoa, would you look at that? We have West Coast School coming up June 8th through the 13th. And you definitely don't want to miss it because there's a Photoshop class, 0 to 60 in a week, and you can't go wrong taking that class. Right, Mel?
That's right. Absolutely.
That's the number one class to take, and there's still a couple of seats left in it. So what you can do is call the 800 number down at the bottom, 800-439-5839, extension 1, 2, or 3, or you can register online at
Yeah,
westcoastschool.com.
they'll all come to me.
This are true. Okay, so we got that out of the way. There are a whole bunch of other classes you can take as well, but the Photoshop class is more fun. I mean, we're going to have a good time in that class. Might even learn a little bit. So sign up today. Make sure you get your seat. Okay, today we're going to talk about this critter right here, which is the toolbar. If you don't like the single row toolbar, you can change it from single row to 2 rows. Or if you have it 2 rows and you want it single row, you can change it back to single row by clicking on these arrows in the upper right-hand corner. You can also click on the X up there and say goodbye to your toolbar. You don't need it anymore. You got the keyboard shortcuts down. You can work without using the toolbar. Unless your keyboard doesn't work, then you're in trouble. If you have trouble finding your toolbar and you look, it's not on the left, it's not on the right, or anywhere around, go to Window, down to Tools, and click on Tools, and now you have your toolbar back. Um, this toolbar has been cleaned up a little bit. You notice that there is no pen tool in the toolbar. I have removed the pen tool and a few others. Exactly.
Your favorite.
So let's go down to my banana down here. Click on the banana and we'll go to Edit Toolbar. And you'll see these are all the tools I took out. I don't use them hardly at all. If I want them, they're still available. And you'll notice that the keyboard shortcuts are still in them, like the line tool, U, the polygon tool, U, vertical type mask tool, horizontal type mask tool. I don't type in a mask. If I want to mask it, I'll just mask it after I get finished. But on the left-hand side, I have all these. Okay, let's make it easy. Let's go to Restore Defaults. Bunk. And now all the tools are back in the toolbar. And I'm going to hit Done, so it's locked in. There should be Edit Toolbar. Should be nothing left over on the right-hand side. They're all back to where they started. How many of you have used the Artboard tool? I just watched a video on it with Julianne Koss a little while ago. And speaking of Julianne, she's going to be at Imaging USA this year. Not that I stalk her and keep track of her, but okay, so I do.
Oh, Michael.
I know. She's one of my favorites, so anytime she's speaking, I gotta be there. So I'm just gonna take the artboard tool and drop it off to the right, hit enter, and now it's gone. Not totally gone because I can always go back and pull it back over, or I can just click on it when I want to use it and it's gonna be there. Um, Single row marquee tool. If I want to draw a marquee 1 pixel wide, I guess for making a line or something, you can do that, but I don't. So we'll say goodbye to that. Single column marquee tool. Say goodbye to that. And then I just go through and pick out the tools that I don't hardly ever use. The selection brush tool is brand new, less than a year old. I don't use the selection brush. I use layers to do what I want to do with that. So I'm just going to say goodbye. And then I'll take out the keyboard shortcut because I don't want it in Yeah, yeah, yeah. Say goodbye. Done. Lasso tool, I still use that on occasion, quite a bit actually. Polygonal or polygonal lasso tool, I hardly ever use that, and I hardly ever use magnetic lasso tool. So I'm going to click on that and say goodbye and say goodbye. Again, these are both still available to use anytime I want to use them. Quick selection tool, object selection tool, magic wand tool. I definitely use those, especially the object selection tool. I use that a lot. I mean, that's one of my faves. Crop tool, perspective crop tool, yes and yes. Slice tool and slice select tool. Does anybody know what those tools do? You have to go way back in Photoshop in the days of old when nights were bold. The slice tool is for using when you were making a photograph to go on to a website. Back in the days of dial-up when it took an hour for your photo to load, you would slice it and it would load the photograph or the image as you sliced it. So it's there if you ever want to do the old dial-up for fun. I don't know why you would. I get bummed when my web provider goes down under 500 millibytes or gigabytes, whatever it is. It drives me crazy. Frame tool. I don't use the frame tool. So I'm going to say goodbye to the frame tool. Go to the eyedropper. Yes, that is a very, very valuable tool. Color sampler tool. There are a couple of things that I do, such as when I'm trying to match colors like tan lines. The color sampler tool is very important. The ruler tool. I have never used the ruler tool. In fact, somebody texted me or emailed me recently asking about the ruler tool, wanting to get so it would say how tall the person was based on the image, and I got no idea how to do that. So say goodbye to the ruler tool. We'll say goodbye to the color sample is going to stay. Note tool. If I want to use the note tool, what I can do, well, let's go ahead and show you what it does. Click done, and we'll go to the note tool, which is under the eyedropper note tool. I click on here, put a note. Mel, please comment on this image. Yeah, imager. Perfect. There we go. And so that's now in there. So if you click on the note, it should bring up, I don't want a fresh one. Mel, please comment on this image. So then he would type a note, say, um, 96. Perfect. So now we have that. These notes will not print. So if you go to print this image, the notes won't show up. So you don't have to worry about that. And you go to history and you can take out the two notes, say goodbye, delete this note, yes, delete, delete, go away. We'll go to open. There. Now the notes are gone. Back to edit toolbar, go back to note tool. I don't use it enough to keep it in my toolbar, so I'm only keeping the tools that I need. The count tool. The count tool is unique. Count tool. Let's say you wanted to count the clouds in the sky. So we're on the count tool, number one, number two, number three. Call that a cloud, call that a cloud, call this a cloud, call that a cloud. And you'll notice that the marker is set to cyan. Well, let's make it so it's really bright We're going to change it to red. And we're going to change the marker size from 2 to say 10.
Oh, okay.
So you can see all the markers that are on there now. And you can see the label
That doesn't
size.
print either, right?
That does not print either. I can make the numbers bigger so you can see them. So I can count the house. There's number 8. So you can go, and if you wanted to do a buffalo count when you went on a trip with Dennis to Yellowstone, you can count your buffaloes going 1, 2, 3. And when you lose count, this keeps count for you. So that works wonders. Let me take everything back. I don't care. I don't use it that often anyway, so I'll leave it like it is. Edit toolbar. So I know that the count tool is there, but I'm not going to keep it in there. Um, Down to the spot healing brush, the remove tool, patch tool, content aware move tool, red eye tool. Well, the remove tool for me, I want it to be totally separate. I'm going to drag it out and up. You can see it's by itself now. Super easy. And I'm going to change from J to R. And the reason I changed it to R for remove tool. We also have a R down at the bottom called the rotate view tool. I'm going to turn off that one. And I'm going to drag it over to the right so it's gone.
What happens if both of them had an R on them?
Then well, let's go ahead and put that R again. Click done. Okay, if I click on my remove tool, which is right here, it's now in the remove tool. So I'll do this, say goodbye. To change tools, if you're using a keyboard shortcut, if I hit Shift R, it'll bring up the rotate.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to keep it, you can. Um, it makes me crazy because I don't use the rotate tool enough to justify keeping it. And the reason for the rotate tool, if I wanted to paint sideways right here, I could use my brush and paint sideways. It's more comfortable than dragging it right and left. Um, and to get out of that, if you ever get stuck in the remove tool, just hit the escape key, and that'll get you out of the remove tool. Okay, remove tool, where are you at? There you are. Get rid of that. Gone. Yeah. Remove tool. Say goodbye. Good. Gone. The rest of these, I don't use this red eye tool hardly at all, but it is there. It used to be a joke because the whole eyeball would turn black instead of just the pupil. They have refined it, so now if you click on a red eye, excuse me, let's go to bridge, and we'll go to Photoshop stuff to 2025, hit red, and it should bring up red eye or not. Maybe it's under retouching. Red eye. Here's a perfect example of a red eye. So we'll go to the red eye tool, and all I have to do is click on that little red spot, and you can see that it does magic. Even left in the flash in the eye. Really cool. Okay, where was I? Let's go back to edit, toolbar, and red eye tool. You know what? Say goodbye to the red eye tool. If I need it, I can get it. brush tool, pencil tool, color replacement tool, mixer brush tool. Okay, the brush tool, I do occasionally use that one. But what's the difference between a brush tool and a pencil tool?
Is
To
one
me,
more precise?
okay, so it's the pencil tool is probably just the brush tool with a sharp, um, hard edge. So I don't need that. Say goodbye to the pencil tool. Color replacement tool, I don't think I've ever used that. I'm not sure I know how to use that, so we'll just say goodbye to that. Mixer brush tool. Mixer brush tool, if you've ever taken a Sander Pierce class, this is the tool that you use 90% of the time. That and the smudge tool. So I'm going to take that out and I'm going to change it from B to A. So now it's all by itself along with the brush tool. Clone stamp tool, yeah, I still use that occasionally. Pattern stamp tool, I don't use. So we'll say goodbye to pattern stamp. History brush is cool if if you want to go back in history and just paint over what you screwed up, you can paint it back. So that's really cool. The art history brush just is weird. Okay, this is very controversial. The eraser tool, goodbye. Background eraser tool, goodbye. Magic eraser tool, goodbye. I don't use the eraser tool. I use layers and masking. Except on occasion, I will do that. Gradient tool and paint bucket tool. Paint bucket tool, there's a keyboard shortcut to filling whatever color you want to fill it with. I don't think I've used a paint bucket tool in maybe 10 years. So I'm going to drag this off to the side. I'm going to get rid of the letter G in there, hit delete, enter, and it's gone. Blur, sharpen, and smudge tool. Smudge tool is going to go up with the mixer brush. And I'm going to hold it right on top of the mixer brush till a blue line shows up. Type in A. Now the smudge tool and the mixer brush are both on the A. So when I'm painting, I can paint with B and then use the mixer brush or the smudge tool with the A keyboard shortcut. That's just my style of doing things. You don't have to do that. The blur tool, I don't use that hardly at all, so I'm going to drag it off to the right. The sharpen tool works pretty cool for doing the iris of the eyes to bring out a little bit of sparkle there. You have to be careful how much you do it, but it does work. Adjustment brush tool, nah, we ain't going to use that. Dodge and burn tool and sponge tool, I'm not going to use any of those because if I do a dodge and burn, I will use a new layer in overlay mode, paint with black or white. It gets less color issues than using the dodge or burn tool. If you burn, it turns it a brownish color. If you dodge, it changes the color as well. Okay, we talked about the pen tool. You okay with that, Kevin? We talked enough about the pen tool?
Sure, for you, that's fine.
It's gone. Vertical type mask tool and horizontal type mask tool. No, we don't like that. Don't need them. Occasionally I'll use the vertical type tool if I want to do a type going down the side, but for the most part I don't use it very often. Horizontal type tool, oh, that's anytime I type, it's going to be in horizontal type. Path selection, direct selection tool, I'm not going to use those. Rectangle tool, I use that quite a bit, especially if I'm doing special projects where I'm making 3 images into one. I'll use the rectangle tool to create squares for me to drop things into. Ellipse tool, triangle tool, polygon tool. I don't use those hardly at all, so I'll just say temporarily over here. Polygon, say goodbye. Okay, you're all gone. Line tool, I just use a brush if I want to make a line, so we'll drag that over. Custom shape tool. I hope everybody knows there are custom shapes in there. There are hundreds of custom shapes that you can make. The one I use the most probably is arrows. When somebody sends me an image and wants me to find flaws in it, I will use arrows to point to it. So I use the custom shape arrow and do that. The hand tool is exactly the same as pushing the space bar when you're wanting to move something. So I don't need the hand tool. And the zoom tool, yes, I use the zoom tool. So we'll keep that. And click on done. Go back up here to other tools. And you can see I have my banana back. The way to get the banana, for those that don't know, is when you hit done, you hold Control or Command and Shift. Click done, and it brings back the banana. So that is a quick down and dirty lesson on the toolbar. When you get below the banana, you have your default colors. So you have the black and white colors here. If you click on that, it goes to black as your foreground color, white as your background color. However, it's faster just to hit the letter D, D for default. And then the arrows to the right here, if you hit the letter X, it does the same thing as that does. It changes the foreground to background, background to foreground. Really easy. You've got your, let me turn one thing on real quick.
Hey, Mike, I've got a question.
I got an answer, maybe.
Okay, on the the arrow, the place where your banana is right now, where you would normally have the three dots.
Uh-huh.
Mine keeps showing the slicer tool there.
Okay. So click on one of the tools up in the upper toolbar, like the crop tool,
Okay.
and that should bring back your
Oh,
banana.
okay. It doesn't give me the banana though. But it did bring the three dots back.
Okay. So click on the three dots, like
But when I click on it, it brings the slice tool.
right. Click and hold on it, and it'll bring up this edit toolbar.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll click and hold on that, go to edit toolbar,
Got it.
hit Command Shift done, and then click
And
on another tool. It should bring back your banana.
done. And click on another tool, and there's the banana. Got it.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Do you know how I knew how to do that so quickly, Mel?
How many times did that happen to you?
Only about 1,000. Yeah, and it's funny because people say, I'm so embarrassed to ask this, and I answer the question real quick. Well, the reason I answer it real quick is because I've done it myself so many times. Don't feel bad about asking questions, please. Okay, this little camera thing looking right here is your quick mask tool, or the letter Q. So if I want to mask out there, go out of quick mask. Why are you making noise? Okay, we're in quick mask. We painted with quick mask. There should be a selection there, which is not doing.
Do you have to hit the check mark up above?
That might be the reason why it's not doing that.
There you
Oh, you know what it did?
Yeah,
go.
Oh,
you got the wrong thing on it.
interesting. I checked on the, well, let's try this. Let's go to lasso tool, then hit the quick mask.
Oh. Huh.
Okay. They have a glitch in their quick mask.
Oh.
Masked areas, past 50%. Click OK. Okay. Turn it off, turn it back on again. And it's not working.
Oh. Doesn't it put another layer?
No, it will show you your selection.
Oh,
And when you have a selection, let's go to the lasso tool. I'm going to zoom in so I can see really good. If I want to make a tighter selection, yeah, it just disappeared on me. So I'm having a glitch with the quick mask, because what I could do is when I have a selection, let's get out of quick mask and we'll do the eye,
uh-oh. No, you're not.
lasso, deselect,
There you
okay,
go.
we lasso. Now if I click on quick mask, there it finally did it.
Oh,
So what I can do is go in with the brush tool now. Normal 10%, that's why it's not doing anything. Okay. I can take out the selection, or I can add to the selection by hitting X, which changes the colors, and just select the eye. So if you're trying to select something and your select tools are not doing it well, hit Q to get out of it. You can use a quick mask and paint the area that you want to select. I will normally work with a hard edged brush when using a quick mask. So we'll change right click hardness to 100% and just go in and paint the areas that I want to keep selected. Hit Q for quick mask, and that gets your selection done better. So that's something that takes a little bit of practice to play with there. I've used it a few times and it works pretty cool.
Well, Michael, after you do all this stuff and add all these things, do you go up to window and save that space, that
My
workspace?
selection,
You
oh,
save
my
that workspace so you have
the
to go
toolbar,
back and yeah.
yeah, I will normally do that. Um, so what I would do is go up to Window, Workspace. I could say reset mics because I just reset all the tools. I want to bring my toolbar back to normal, or hit New Workspace, type in what do I want to type in?
I usually put in the date so I know what's the most recent date that I've done something with.
Yeah,
So it keeps.
if I change my regular stuff, I'll just change mics. Um, we'll just call it Party. Keep the keyboard shortcuts, menus, and toolbar. Click OK, save, and now it's saved. So if I go to Workspace to mics, it should have my toolbar set up like I had it before. So we're good to go there. And I can always change it and go to Essentials, which is how it ships. Window, Workspace, Reset Essentials. That's how it ships. And I don't need all the other garbage that's in there. So I normally just do mine. And if my computer crashes and I end up in Essentials or video or something, I can just click on that and say, here we are, we're back to normal. So just that easy. And I've got no idea what this is. Generate an image using a text prompt. Okay, cool. I didn't even know that was in there. It's amazing what you learn. Change screen mode, full screen. To get out of it, you hit escape or F. You can hit F, F, and then F. And you notice when I go into full screen, I still have my rulers there. If you don't want your rulers, just hit Command or Control R. R for rulers. Command or Control R will get you the rulers back. And you're good to go there. If you don't want the toolbar and you don't want all the layers, histories, actions, etc., just hit Tab, and that will take you out of all those. Tab will bring them back in. Any other questions on that stuff?
when you did the red eye,
Uh-huh.
did you make another layer or did it work on the original image?
I'll take, well, here, let's just go back to the beginning. And we'll go to red eye, which is under the eyedropper tool. Let's go to Shift I. Whoops, not shift I. That's invert. I'm gonna have to break into my old stuff.
Well, that's right. You got rid of it.
I gotta find red eye. Where's red eye? There it is, red eye tool. I would just drag it back over here so we can see it. Done. And red eye tool. All I had to do was just click on them and it makes them go away. You don't have to make another layer unless you want to.
Okay, so it doesn't. So your image is just one layer, not a duplicate layer.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I have one layer.
Yeah.
Okay. Other
It's like
questions?
in the neuro filters, you can tell it you want a separate layer or you want it to go right on the original.
Correct. So let's go to neural filters. I just brought it up. And we'll do photo restoration, although it doesn't need it. And then down at the bottom on the right-hand side, you have output to current layer,
Right.
new layer masked, smart filter, or new document. So, and this is before, after. So it did a little bit on it on photo restoration, although
Yeah.
that's not bad. I can live with that. And everybody knows about the remove tool, my favorite friend. Take that light out, that dot out, that distraction out. Sure, why not that one? Click OK.
Yeah, it's so cool. You can do it in Camera Raw too.
It is. You can do it in Lightroom, Camera Raw, or in here. And it depends on what you want to do. If you do Camera Raw, it's a permanent deal, well, semi-permanent, to where every time you open it up, it's already done for you. You don't have to do it again. So we got these white lines there. Tell them to go away. And sometimes you have to hit it 2 or 3 times to get it to work, but this time it's working pretty good for me. That remove tool, I swear, is black magic. I mean, it's like voodoo. Amazing what they can do. Other questions? No other questions?
I have a graphic tablet question if when the time is appropriate.
Okay, go ahead.
A while back, I asked you about using an iPad Pro as a graphic tablet, and I finally bumbled around and figured out how to do that. And I was trying to just play with a mask recently, and I had made a really big brush, but when I drew on the tablet with the big brush, it was only drawing a fairly small area. Then I finally deduced that part of it, I think, had to do with pressure sensitivity. So I had to, press pretty hard, but I never was able to get what I was drawing on the mask to be as big as I thought the brush ought to be.
Okay, check with your settings and your cursor size, because if you make a large cursor, then the brush is going to show that large cursor,
Uh-huh.
but it's only going to paint this big.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'll go figure that out. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Dwightus Maximus, did you have something?
Yes, it had to do with the screen. When I had an image come up and shall I show my screen what my problem is? Is that okay or no good?
Let's see if we can.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Okay. Okay.
this is a test.
Okay,
Oh,
does
look,
that
it worked.
it work? Okay. What is this? I'm seeing something. Okay. You see my Photoshop image here, and then when I in the past, I got it the way I want it now, meaning whenever I enlarge the image, okay, now look at this margin here on the far right side, it actually stops where my tools are, and that's what I'd like. In the past, sometimes I would enlarge the image, excuse me, and then it would kind of cross over. It would cross over more behind my open windows. Now I know it had to do something with moving my windows on the right side or locking it in on the right margin to keep it from extending out. And I can't figure out what the formula is, but somehow I got it to work now where as I enlarge the image, it will actually stop and not go under my windows. I couldn't figure out how it was done. Does that ring a bell or?
My guess would be it's in preferences, but I'm not sure
Uh-huh.
where.
Hmm.
I'm just guessing.
No.
I've never I
Yeah.
I keep
Hmm.
my windows as tabs instead
Hmm.
of floating windows. You have floating windows, so
Right, right. I mean, I would have times I'm working on an image and then it would kind of disappear under my working windows or my
yeah.
open windows, and I found that to be a real problem because I always have to move things back. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okie dokie. Next, now serving number 33.
Well,
Going
I
once.
don't have an example of this, but you know, when you get that little bit of a shadow or a line on something, and what is the easiest way to get rid of that?
Are you
Around
talking
the
about
edges.
like a shadow or line around a certain part of the image,
Yes.
like a mountain and
Like there's a name for it, and it's sort of like a
uh I'm trying to think of the name. Dennis, you guys call it out in print comp all the time. Um, you're muted.
Keep him muted.
I sound better muted anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
Would that
everybody
be
has.
a halo?
Halo.
There we
like a
go.
halo. Yeah,
Okay. You know what? We could probably
that could be a whole class,
I was
actually.
just going to say
Mhm.
next program we can do halos and how to adjust them. If you have a couple of images, if anybody has images with halos or um, color around the outside, we can talk about that next program. So,
Okay, got it written down.
okie dokie. That
Interesting.
Consider
thank you,
it
Cindy.
done.
That made
Yeah,
it easy. We didn't have to. Mel and I sit there for hours trying to figure out what do we want to do this time.
I'm so glad I could help.
I do appreciate it. Thank you. Cool. Any other questions? Okay, let me hit the stop recording and there it is.